You know, when I downloaded the Elden Ring DLC, I was expecting a lot of cool new weapons and items. And of course, it delivered. But what I wasn't expecting was a very simple item, something that has been with humanity since the dawn of their creation. And that, of course, is the rock. But more specifically here in Elden Ring, the Roundrock. And I'm going to be using this bad boy to beat the game. And that's what this challenge run video is going to be about. And the rules for this challenge run video are simple. The Roundrock and the hefty rock pot, because it's just 3 round rocks inside of a giant pot, are going to be our main damage sources, all the way till Elden Ring's endgame. And also, I gotta do the Elden Ring DLC. And with that all said, this is Warnock Gamer 4, and please sit back, relax, and or listen as I beat Elden Ring with some Mother Nature made Roundrocks. Also, if you enjoy the types of videos that I put out, I'd appreciate if you subscribed. Also, for the sliders of the character I just made, it's from a video made from I'm Kuro, and I'll link it in the description below. And after that quick note and intro, let's get right into the run. First off, I need some rocks. And as any true geologist, such as Gigachad, he brought his own, a whole 999 of them. I totally didn't just spawn them in. And now that we have our means of damage, it's time to go beat Elden Ring and the DLC. Since I already have the rocks, I might as well test them out with the Grafted Scion here. And boy, let me tell you, these rocks actually do a pretty good amount of damage at the start of the game. And now while I'm fighting the tutorial boss here, let me do a little quick explanation of how these round rocks work. It basically works just like a hefty pot, except there is one extra thing to it. It is capable of homing onto the target. Yep, this giant rock is a heat-seeking rock. Unfortunately, in this fight I didn't give much of an example of it. My first attempt using the rock here was just free aiming it. Which, as long as you know how to aim right, you can do a good amount of damage from a safe distance away. With the tutorial boss down, it's time to suffer the scripted death. And finally enter the land of Elden Ring. And while I was still high on the victory of the tutorial boss, I decided to screw with the tree sentinel that's just right after. The guy and his horse might be kitted out to bring down any threat, but who knew a man with rocks couldn't give him trouble? This fight was pretty much just a whole lot of dodging and a whole lot of rock throwing. It's just the simple stuff right now. Anyways, it's time to get my means of transportation. Then attempt to help Alexander try to get out of the hole he got himself stuck in. And luckily for me, a rock was all I needed. And with that, I was rewarded with some protein. And now from here, I make my way down the bridge via the spring well in order to reach High Road Cave. The reason I'm here is because I'm pretty much not going to be wearing armor throughout the entire game. I'll be sacrificing defense, but that matters not to me, as I will be blessed with light rolls and an increase in damage. But that's after I beat the golem boss here. Also, this is where I discovered that the rock has another thing going for it. And that's that if I'm pretty close to my enemy, the Roundrock hits 2 times instead of once. As you see right here, a close range attack dealt around 1200 damage, and a far range one dealt around only 700. It ain't double, but it's very helpful. It seems like these rocks were blessed by Miyazaki himself. The only problem is that they're pretty slow to throw out. But as long as everything is timed right, everything will go the way I want it. And now with the golem defeated, I get the Blue Dancer's Charm, which increases my damage as long as my equip load is very low. And because this fine specimen of a man is going nearly butt naked, it works out very well for me. Now it's time to pick up the Wonders Physic, which is pretty much going to be my protein shake, as I'm going to be adding the Strengthnaut Crystal Tier to it, along with the Green Spill Crystal Tier. And while I'm near, I might as well go into Fort Heights in order to get 1/2 of the Dectus Medallion. And since there's not much for me to do right now, since I don't have to worry about getting upgrade stones and all that, I believe now is a good time to fight Margit. You know, I haven't really noticed this until a friend brought this into attention. The Roundrock looks kind of like a brain. It's a bit of a random thought, but there you go. And while I was fighting Margit, I realized that I was getting stunned pretty easily out of my rock throw animation. I knew that was going to cause a problem in the future, so I had to rectify that. Can't just be taking hits while doing no damage in exchange. I at least need a bit of an eye for an eye when it comes to damage. Anyways, the fight against Margit took about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the poor bastard didn't stand a chance. With that over, it's time to use the runes I've gained to level up health and strength. And because the Roundrock has a very good strength scaling, that's going to be the main attribute I'm going to be focusing on. Now it's time to run right through Stormveil Castle, not having much of a problem here in the entrance. Just dodging the attacks here left and right. And also shared my rocks with the locals here. And they kindly repay me with a through-the-wall sword that nearly killed me. This game really is pure chaos at times. Also, here's a small, poor demonstration of Rock's homing capabilities. But do not fret, because there's gonna be better examples later. But for now, I take the back entrance to Stormveil Castle. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because I need to get a specific armament that I need. And since this is the only way of unlocking the vendor right now, aside from killing Godrick, it's better to get it now than later. Also, this Ambush Knight guy is completely intangible. His model is there, but he has no hitbox. He is truly the hidden boss of Elden Ring that no one knew. Anyways, after the cutscene that triggers him, I just completely destroy him. I have Roundrock for days. And after getting the Grace here, I head back over to Gustok in order to buy the Cestus from him. The reason for this is because it's the lightest armament I can have while having the Ash of War Endure. And with Endure, I can throw my Roundrocks at things without having to worry about getting staggered out of them. It lasts for a very short while, but it's enough for me to throw out one rock. God bless the Hyper Armor. With that done, I now have everything I wanted from the castle. And now it's time to fight Godrick. And by fight I mean one-sidedly bullying him by throwing a bunch of rocks at him. The face change didn't help him at all because it just brought me much closer to him. For Godrick only lasted about a minute and 26 seconds. It's all looking pretty easy right now, but trust me, it's gonna get difficult once I get into the DLC. But for now, we're just cruising along. With that done, I reached Liurni of the Lakes, and I also fancied the thought of getting a jellyfish shield, but it was gonna make me too heavy to use the Blue Sword Dancer talisman, so I unfortunately abandoned the plan. Now I head over to Fort Ferof at Dragon Barrow in order to get the other half of the Dectus medallion. And now it's time to do a bit of side questing to help me reach the DLC a bit early. And for that, I need to beat this bloody finger here. And this fight would have been much more difficult if I didn't have Endure to tank attacks. Anyways, it's time to keep on throwing rocks at NPCs. And after that, head to the Dectus lift in order to reach Altus Plateau, where I quickly beat the demi-human queen here, in order to get the Ritual Sword Talisman, which will increase my damage as long as my health is full. Now it's time to level up my strength, and now fight the invader Eleonora, who unfortunately had help in the form of an annoying blood dog, but because of that enemy she was able to end me. But unfortunately for her, next time she wasn't so lucky. As long as I have Health Flask and Endure, she won't be able to beat me. It would have been nice to just end her here, but unfortunately, because of how slow the Roundrock is, she was able to just dodge it easily. Good thing NPCs aren't that smart though. And now with her defeated, I get the Purifying Crystal tier, which will help me in my battle against Mohg. And while I'm here, I might as well pick up a few flask upgrades, at least the simple ones for now. And now it's time to head back to Liurni of the Lakes in order to do Vare's quest, which is as easy as just invading an NPC and killing him. Funny I say that because he nearly killed me there. Then avoid an invader fight, doing some precise jumping, in order to reach the Church of Inhibition and get the Lord of Blood's favor. With all that done, I now have access to Mohg's palace. And after getting the graces here, now we're just a few steps away from the DLC. So first I'm gonna level up my health, then head over to Castle Redmane in order to fight the poor and withered Radahn. Ah yes, the Radahn we all know and love. The first attempt was very close until I decided to try to run away from his attack when I should have. And in the second attempt, because of how slow I was squashed like a bug. Not gonna lie, I was a little too impatient here. With the help of correct positioning and dodging, I was able to throw my rocks at Radahn without much of a problem. And when he starts buffing himself up with his gravity magic, that's the best time to start throwing round rocks at him. I just gotta make sure not to miss though. And once he makes it back down, I just continue the onslaught. And I also completely forgot that his sword still has a hitbox when he slams down. Also, horseback rock throwing is pretty powerful. The mobility is very nice, but I decided to just finish it off on foot. The dawn here lasted about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And also I ended up dying 2 times against him. And now that he's fallen, one requirement for the DLC has now been fulfilled. But before we do the last requirement, it's time for me to just sell all the runes I've accumulated in order to level up my health and strength a bit more. And after that, I went ahead and picked up a few more things to upgrade my flask, and also witnessed this poor stuck animal here. Just look at the poor thing shivering. Eventually, I decided to end its misery. It's all good because Mother Nature just instantly absorbed him back into the ground. Great, with that over with, it's time to fight the Draconic Tree Sentinel. This time around, I decided to use the more straightforward approach. There's no reason to sneak around because these rocks are anything but subtle. Also here you see a bit better of the rock's homing capability towards the enemy. Pairing that and the very good strength scaling it has, these round rocks are doing pretty well with the amount of damage that they're doing. And now with the Tree Sentinel eliminated, gonna make my way into the royal capital, making my way through using the unintended route. Also fight the Tree Avatar in order to get some juicy runes. Gotta love me that 50k runes. Now it's time to continue my way going forward, making sure trying not to die. And then fight the Gold Shade Godfrey, who was incredibly easy. And the reason for that was because I baited his ranged attack. He did get a hit on me, but it was pretty much over for him. With the false Godfrey defeated, I next up throw some rocks at an assassin. And after dealing with her, I level up again. Then make my way over into the sewers. And I'm here avoiding lobster piss just to pick up Mohg's shackle. After doing that, I make a quick detour to Fort Guile, just to pick up the Starscourge heirloom for a +5 to my strength, then the ritual shield talisman for some bonus defense, then do a bit of Raya's quest, just so I can buy some boiled crabs from Bogart. Gotta love me that protein that provides extra defense. And with all that set and ordered and my talismans and physic flask ready, it's time to fight the last requirement to gain access to the DLC, which is Mohg. For the fight against Mohg, it was just pure distance. I just took complete advantage of the fact that I can throw my rock pretty far in order to deal damage. And once he was close doing his final nihil, I used the shackle to give me the opportunity to further decrease his health and do some close range round rock attacks. Pretty much just made him stay at half health after all that healing. Afterwards, the fight didn't really change much, except I had to do a bit more dodging than normal. As long as the boss arena has distance, I can take full advantage of the round rock's range. And to prevent Mohg from doing anything cheeky while he's nearly dead, I made sure to use Endure to guarantee the kill. And with that, the fight against Mohg lasted about 6 minutes and 10 seconds. It was just a whole lot of running around back and forth. And with all that concluded, it's time to head into the DLC with this handsome looking man. Now currently in the video, I'm not going to really be fighting any bosses right now in the DLC. That's going to be coming a little bit later. For now, I'm just going to be collecting stuff like the Scadutree fragments, talking to NPCs that I'm going to be interacting with later, and also opening up the map for easy access to locations. Anyways, the main reason I'm here for now is for these hefty cracked pots. The one I just collected is right there near the start of the DLC, and now there's a few here at the Bayle jail. One is gained by successfully jumping to this platform here, and the other two are located after falling down in this location that has a lot of giant pots. And after all that was gathered, I kinda didn't have a choice here but to fight the boss, as I couldn't leave because I was locked to this location until I beat the boss. But it was mostly because I decided to fall to where the boss was without getting the shortcut to leave. And that was mostly my fault, honestly, for not paying attention. For this fight against the demi-human swordmaster, I didn't really have much of a choice but to tank his attacks. If I threw my rocks from far, he would just deflect my attack and just teleport right to me. And because of how easily he can delete you with his frost sword, that's pretty scary. I hate this guy specifically because of how fast and nimble he is, and it's especially when you least expect it. But thank God for hyper armor, because this fight would have taken a lot longer to finish. Pretty much being stuck in a cage with that guy for about 3 minutes and 30 seconds was not fun. And that was just a taste of what's to come. Anyways, it's time to level up with all the runes I've gained, and then head to Bonnie Village in order to pick up 2 more hefty cracked pots. Then head into the jail that's right next to the location. Then accidentally glitch this enemy here into having a seizure. Also, it's now stuck in the pot, forever being unable to get out. Serves them right because they're pretty annoying to fight. And now it's time to make my way into the Shadow Keep. And in order to do that with relative safety, I gotta take the Church District route. Here I can just sneak my way into the back, which after using this elevator here, I now have access to the Specimen Storehouse. Also here I can get another hefty cracked pot. Then continue accessing more locations to get Scadutree fragments, and also opening up the fast travel locations. Gotta need me all these things for later. Also, I went to the Rivermouth Cave. I'll be using this location a lot later. And opposite from here is the Cerulean Coast. Continuing down the coast, I fight this giant here that has a goodie I need. He wasn't that hard, even though he had a lot more health for a normal giant. And after I took him down, I get the final hefty cracked pot that I'm going to be using in this run. Also, I went into the Stone Coffin Fissure in order to continue getting bracelets for later, but here the security is very tight. I'll come back to this place later. For now, I went to the Ruined Forge of Starfall Pass in order to get the Smithing Talisman to increase my damage of throwing weapons. Unfortunately for me, it does not help my damage. The Smithing Talisman, along with the Two-Handed Sword Talisman, does not increase the damage of the Roundrock. I was hoping it increased my damage, but unfortunately it does not work that way. According to the wiki, it doesn't work for the Roundrock, but apparently it works for throwing knives. Also, I now have the hefty rock pots that I'm going to start using, but it's going to be used very much sparingly. It's a pot that has 3 Roundrocks in it. It actually has a pretty good AoE on it, but it does less damage than a closer range Roundrock. Also, it doesn't get buffed by any of those 2 talismans that I tested. Anyways, it's time to head back into Lindell in order to fight Morgott. For the fight against the Omen King, just like Margit, I just fight him at a long range. As long as I time my throws right, and also don't miss, Margit's fight went pretty swimmingly. and after 3 minutes and 5 seconds, he goes down. Now with the royal capital done, it's now time to head over to the mountaintop of the giants. And while I'm up here, it's time to collect a few more flask upgrades, then do a bit of testing with the lance talisman, which unfortunately does not work with the Roundrock, and now it's time to quickly make my way over to the fire giants. I thought this fight was going to be a bit of a hassle because of how often he moves his foot, but with Torrent's mobility, and the fact that I can just do drive-by rock throws, there really wasn't much trouble against fire giants in this fight. For the second phase, the plan didn't really change much, except for a few personalized rock throws. Okay, I deserved that. And this fire attack is still very quirky. Poor Torrent took the blunt of it, but luckily that was it because that could have ended horribly. And now for the rest of the fight, I just continue on throwing rocks at his eye. And after feeding him enough rocks, he eventually goes down after 4 minutes and 14 seconds. Great, now it's time to head over to Farum Azula. This place is looking as beautiful and colorful as always. And after I reach the grace right before the boss, I level up. And now it's time to fight the Godskin duo. And what's this fight without dying because of bullshit? For this fight, I decided to focus on Fatty first because he's the biggest of the bunch. Not only that, but it seemed like he didn't really try to dodge my rocks. And when he decides to go on roly-poly mode, as long as everything goes well, it's easy to do damage to him. Once Fatty is down, it's time for Skin and Bone's turn to feel the pain. And as always, distance is the key to these fights. Most of the fight was just pretty much me waiting patiently to throw my rocks at them. And also watching out for attacks. You can never be too cautious against them. This fight lasted about 9 minutes and 10 seconds, and I ended up dying only one time. I'm pretty much just trying to blitz right through these bosses in order to do DLC stuff. But before continuing, it's time to meet Alexander, which after talking to him in his lava bath, I can challenge him here to a fight. But unfortunately for him, it wasn't much of a fight, it was more of a slaughter. I was also using little versions of him to defeat him. And as always, poor Alexander falls and we get his shard and also his innards. May you rest in peace, Alexander. Now it's time to continue doing a bit more side questing by going to Jarburg, where we talk to the Kid Jar, and after exhausting his dialogue enough, now it's time to do the Ulysses quest. Which means it's time to head over to Volcano Manor and join them, and start doing the assassination missions that they give us, which were fairly easy to do because of Endure. Unfortunately for me though, I completely forgot to get the grace at the Volcano Manor, so I had to take the long way to get back there. That's what I get for forgetting. And after doing one more assassination for them, I exhaust Dialis' dialogue here, and eventually meet back with him at Jarburg. And after restarting a few times, he fights some poachers and dies, and after exhausting even more dialogue with the small jar, along with giving him Alexander's innards, I'm rewarded with the Companion Jar Talisman, which increases the damage of my throwable pots, and it boosts it up by a good bit. Now it's time to continue going deeper into Farum Azula, then level up at the Grace beneath the Great Bridge, ignore the Draconic Tree Sentinel here, in order to just instantly challenge Maliketh. For the fight against Maliketh, I pretty much use the same strategy that I use when I want to try to jump attack him, which is when he tries to go for a stab at me and I bait the attack afterwards. But instead of jumping after him, I throw a Roundrock. In the second phase, he used a lot of close range attacks, and that meant a lot of close range rock throws. Just look at that beautiful damage. And in the fight against Maliketh, the shorter amount of time we fight him, the better. He literally has no health. How is he still alive? But eventually, after 3 minutes and 25 seconds, he goes down. Seriously, Maliketh, that last shot should have ended you. Also, I had one death. With Maliketh defeated, we've now reached endgame of normal Elden Ring, which means it's time to deal with Gideon. The first attempt against him was going very well. But then he decided to bring out the triple rings of light, which pretty much ended me. And I wasn't doing very hot in the next 2 tries. But at least in this fight I can show how good the homing is on these rocks. These things heat seek very well. Anyways, the rest of the Gideon fight was just me trying to throw my rocks at him while he's busy trying to cast a spell, which is usually right after Common Azor. And now with Gideon defeated, it's time for me to sell all the accumulated gold runes I've had so far, along with the Remembrance. And after leveling up a good bit, it's now time to conquer the DLC. So first off, the Tower Settlements of Belurat, where there's a lot of scorpions in the location. They're quite numerous and like piranhas. Good thing the Hefty Pot has some AoE, and it's very good for pest control. Great, now it's time to fumble my way through the Tower Settlement. Going into this place right now naked is absolutely dangerous. It's insane the amount of damage they do. I'm not gonna lie, I made my way to the top through sheer luck. Everything hits too hard without any blessings. I almost made it all the way up deathless until this guy throwing knifed me. Good thing there was America's Grace there, because that would have been painful going back up. And after successfully dodging him this time, it's now time to fight the first DLC boss that pretty much everyone's fought first. And that's the Divine Beast, the Dancing Lion. And with 0 blessings, this guy hurts like a truck. It also doesn't help that I'm kinda not used to his attack patterns. And what also doesn't help is that the rock is a very slow thing to use. At this point, whatever attack he does is pretty much just overkill. And after getting bit on like a damn chew toy for a good bit, I was able to reach second phase after a good amount of tries, but after that death, I pretty much just had enough. Also, I ran low on rocks, so I had to head over to the Rivermouth Cave to collect a few. With my Roundrocks refueled, it's time to start collecting Scadutree fragments. Because right now, I'm pretty much just one shot from every attack. This is quite the Elden Ring DLC experience. Just getting clapped non-stop. And after collecting a good bit of Scadutree fragments, I head back into Shadowkeep in order to access a hidden exit, which of course involves a coffin. Oh boy, the best means of transportation. Which leads me to the bottom outside portion of Shadowkeep. And all in order to just fight a singular hippopotamus. The hippo is very tanky, and I'm pretty sure he can just one-shot my poor horse. But as long as I keep my distance, I'll be good. Also, there's 2 of them here, but I decided not to fight the other one. And the reason why is because this fight took 6 minutes. And I do not want to do that again just for a Scadutree fragment. And with all the Scadutree fragments obtained, I have put my blessings up to 12. And that's all I needed to fight the Dancing Lion. In the fight against him, if I'm far away enough, I'll throw a rock. Which is very unga bunga, honestly. And when he gets too close, it's time to fall back. Unfortunately, the Roundrock animation is too slow to fight him up close. And unless I want to use all my health flasks to try to tank his hits with Endure, it's just not worth. Also, now I'm doing around 900 damage compared to the 500 damage that I was doing. And it also helps that his attacks don't hit as hard as they did anymore. Really helps with survivability. Thank the Lord for the blessings. Even when he starts to control the powers of the Avatar, the fight doesn't really change much. And by that I mean what I have to do in order to damage him. In this fight alone, I had to dodge that super combo quite a few times. And after around 10 minutes and 35 seconds worth of dancing lion fighting, he eventually goes down. And I ended up dying 8 times against him. And all it took me to win were the Scadutree blessings. And with these blessings, things are going to be pretty easy now, right? Yeah, no. With these bosses, it's kind of like a 50-50, honestly. That was a lot easier than doing it without the blessings. And during the time, I wish it stayed that way. Moving forward, I go to the Stone Coffin Fissure, level up my strength. And now it's time for me to sneak my way through the laser defense system of this forsaken place. Why is it that the security of this location is so top-notch? This graveyard in a whole has too many lasers and mines in it. The smaller enemies aren't much of a problem, as they're actually quite dumb. That ghostly misbegotten just threw itself off the cliff. And after getting the grace before the boss, it's time to fall down. And now it's time to challenge the Putrescent Knight, which pretty much is just a whirlwind of pain. You'd think I would just be able to tank right through his magic, but his frost does not make it easy. And if you don't know how to dodge it, it seems very overwhelming. And staying at close range does not help at all either. For this fight, throwing rocks at him was actually very easy. All I really had to do was keep a distance, and if you're far away enough, all he does is one attack and a follow-up. And after dodging those two, he drifts nearby, which is close enough for me to deal bonus damage with the Roundrock. And once the fire appears, it's just time to jump. No need to time any complicated rolling. The Roundrocks are dealing some very good damage. The only problem I had in this victory attempt was that he was spamming his most obnoxious moves. A little too much dodging without any punishing for my taste. And if you make one mistake, say goodbye to half your health. He did so many whirlwind attacks and undead hellfire. But eventually, after 3 minutes and 40 seconds, he goes down. The Putrescent Knight is defeated, and I ended up dying to him 5 times. Look at that deletion. With the boss fight over, I now unlock St. Trina for later, and now it's time to head over to Castle Ensis. Here I do the good old strat of ignoring everything, and eventually make it to the grace that I need. Not really much was shown because it was just a lot of dodging and me getting lost for like a good 5 minutes. And now that I'm all the way here, it's time to fight Rellana, who is an esteemed knight sorceress. But I wonder if she's capable of fighting the power of a giant rock. Okay, it seems like she very much can. For Rellana, the safest times I found to throw rocks at her, which was after she manually throws out a spell. But then again, it's still a bit risky to do that. You gotta keep a certain distance though. And another chance comes right after certain attack chains, such as this heavy swing attack right here. You gotta be careful not getting caught in a corner though. My life flashed before my eyes there. Tanking her attacks is not a good idea. Once phase 2 hits and she goes all night in flame on you, the strategy doesn't really change much, but there are a few new opportunities to do damage against her. The rock throws are still pretty risky to do, but as long as I position myself far away enough, it's free damage. You just gotta be careful with the fact that she can close the distance very quickly. It didn't work out for her here, but that was very scary. And then once the twin moons come out, it's time to jump. You like big rocks, Rellana? Here, have this one. Well, she's mad. And after about 9 minutes and 42 seconds, Rellana is gonzo. Done in by a whole bunch of Roundrocks. All that fancy dancy swordplay was nothing at the end. She did kill me 3 times though, so technically it did work out for her. With all the runes attained, I now continue to level up my strength. Here I talk to this old man, giving me instructions of what to do and where to go. First one's pretty easy to get to, and I also get the Crimson Sea Talisman +1. For the next location, I gotta go through the backside of the Specimen Storehouse. Remember everyone, if you want to prevent an unfortunate death via falling, learn how to save and quit very fast. You see, it's like nothing happened. In fact, screw you, Flame Knight. Look at this magic trick, everyone. Just aggro him, and then make your way down. Then wait for a little bit, and after coming back up, he's no longer there. Please note, I do not know if this works 100% of the times. Anyways, it's time to continue the path to the next Finger Ruins I need to go to. Get this grace here right before another main boss I'm gonna do, but not now. And also I'm missing something in order to continue. And that certain something is in Bonnie Village, and it's this gesture by the tree. And after using said gesture, the secret path opens. And from here I run by the tree Sentinel brothers. And afterwards, I stick to the right and watch out for snipers. And after finishing this Finger Ruins, I exhaust any dialogue necessary, then get the third Ruins map. And this one is just literally right under the cathedral. All I need is one simple button press, and voila, hidden entrance. There was an invader that I had to fight, but she wasn't much of a problem because of Endure. Now it's time to blow into a hollow finger again. And now it's time to fight against Metyr, the mother of fingers. And this abomination has laser beams. So many lasers of different intensities. And after those 2 failures, it's time to reload on rocks. I spent a lot of time collecting rocks this time around. After that, I gotta make sure I'm topped off on everything. And now it's time to face off against the boss again. This finger abomination is actually very slow. After baiting out attack, she's pretty slow on the recovery. Do have to be careful though, because she does still hit hard. And the last thing I want is an easy ticket to the loading screen. I love how her attacks just leave her very vulnerable. And when she spawns little minions, I just swap up to the hefty rock pot. Because the AoE on it just does the rest of the work for me. Even when she changes to phase 2, she's still pretty damn slow. She now spawns in some balls, which are very easy to avoid. Her spin to win attack, which actually leaves her vulnerable if I'm far away enough to throw a rock at her. And her mega laser, which you should not try to dodge into. She's also punishable while it happens. And after a very fortunate event of her trying to spawn in some hands to help her, it gave me a very good opportunity to do a lot of damage. And after 7 minutes and 36 seconds, she goes down. Pretty nice that I died only 2 times against her, but then again I had a good amount of range against a slow boss. And those rocks do some pretty damn good physical damage. With that over, I think it's now time to recklessly fight another boss, which is Commander Gaius and his boar. I don't really hate the guy himself, even though he hits hard. A little tad too hard for my liking. But who I mostly hate in this fight is the boar. And especially his charge attack. So for Commander Gaius, if I dodge his charge attack, I throw a rock. If he does his gravity uppercut attack, I keep a good distance, and then I throw a rock. And then any other slow attack he does, I just throw a rock. The strategy is very simple as long as I don't get hit. Especially from that bullshit charge attack. It's a shame that in order to safely deal damage against him, I have to dodge his most difficult attack. Also gotta make sure that I don't get bitch slapped by the boar. He's very sneaky about doing that movement. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell. Also, just like in the fight against Rellana, I nearly got stuck in a bad spot. Now on to phase 2, gravity magic turns into another factor that needs to be dodged. Aside from dodging janky hitboxes, running away when he tries to dive bomb me, and also dodging the surprise boar bitch slap, which usually happens whenever he shows you his left side. This fight actually went pretty well. And after about 6 minutes, he gets a little too close to me and he goes down. I ended up dying 8 times against him. Not bad, not bad. I thought I was going to be here for a bit longer. Anyways, after that commander is defeated, we get a bunch of Scadutree fragments as a reward. And now it's time to conquer the Shadowkeep Church District, which just requires me to bring down the water. I gotta remove the flooding of this area if I want to progress. And after that, I just head towards where the America statue is. Just take a left exiting that area. And lo and behold, the boss fight of the location, which is one giant ass sunflower that is the Scadutree Avatar. This entity is a very thorny being. He's actually not that hard to defeat as long as you're not a dumbass like me. Completely forgot that he continues to explode after he's nearly dead. Anyways, this is a battle against a pretty weak boss. The only problem here is that it's 3 stages. First stage is pretty easy, attacks are simple, and the time to counterattack is actually pretty abundant. You just gotta be careful with the Shadowland spam. I feel like it's just best to roll out of the way or use a tree as cover. When he goes down the first time, it's a good time to just sit back and recover. Once he's back up, he treats this place like a slip and slide. He does this 3 times, and the 3rd time, if everything goes correctly, is actually very punishable. Once that is over with, just gotta watch out for his thorn attacks because that can instantly just delete you with bleed damage. And also I had to be cautious about his swipe attack because it now has a follow-up. Can't let him hit me for free again. With his health bar down again, it's now time for the 3rd and final time to face him. And in this phase, he now explodes! Which is actually pretty dodgeable. I didn't even need to do the endure here. That's only the first one though, because the next chance he has a high probability of just exploding 3 times. And if you don't dodge right, it hurts. And after going through that experience one more time, but this time with proper dodging, he goes down. This fight lasted about 6 minutes and 10 seconds, and I ended up dying against the boss 3 times. With the wholly evil looking sunflower defeated, it's time to hunt a dragon. And in order to do that, I gotta deal with an invader first. After that, I head into the dragon's pit, fall into a giant hole, then deal with the same NPC that invaded me, but this time he's a boss. But with the power of Endure, one-on-one NPC fights mean nothing to me. The amount of health this NPC has is pretty insane. Good thing I have rocks for days. With the ancient dragon dude defeated, I now have access to a jagged peak, which in order to get to the top requires a whole lot of spring wall jumping. A pretty absurd amount, honestly. But then again, it's a mountain, it makes sense. Also, I didn't notice this in the first and second time coming here. There are dragon corpses flying in the wind. This place is pretty damn metal. Once I've reached the top, it's time to use up some gold runes and remembrance in order to level up again before I lose all of it. And now it's time to fight against Bayle the Dread. I wish I had Egon here with me. His shit talking is the best. Not only that, but having him here would have made this fight go a whole lot smoother. Aside from getting chomped on and getting screwed over by some intercepting fire, the times I fought Bayle was not that numerous, but each attempt did last about 8 minutes though. But with all that time, it allowed me to learn when and when not to attack. So for fighting against Bayle, surprisingly a good amount of his attacks are punishable for me. Once he ends one of his attacks, there's actually a pretty high chance I can just throw a rock at him. Along with the safety of throwing said rock, first phase went pretty easy. Well, as easy as these DLC bosses can be. And especially the best type of attack I can punish him after is the one where he spews fire near his vicinity. All was well until we reach phase 2 where he decides to go nuclear on me. The fight didn't really change much except for the new attacks of lightning. And also long attacks that he was a little too comfortable in using in this attempt. Him using these attacks extended the fight a little bit longer than I would have liked. If I fail one dodge, I'm pretty much in a world of pain. Good thing I have the Ritual Shield Talisman, because I'm pretty sure that health bar would have been a lot lower right now. And after dodging an uncomfortable amount of air attacks, such as the Lightning Breath Chain and the Dive Bombs, but he eventually goes down in about 2 minutes and 21 seconds. I only died 4 times against Bayle, and that was a pretty fun boss fight. I love fighting against this dragon. And with the jagged peak now complete, it's now time to head over to the front entrance of Shadowkeep. And now it's time to fight a hippo. I tried to reach him here with my rocks, but I knew that wasn't gonna happen, unfortunately. Golden Hippo here, just like some of the other bosses I've already fought, is pretty slow enough for me to safely use the Roundrocks. I also get some good bonus damage in for being close range, as long as I successfully dodge his grab. And once I reach the second phase, he goes all porcupine on me. Aside from the few close calls of near death, the Golden Hippopotamus was not that difficult to fight, especially compared against the other bosses I've already fought. All this fighting took about 5 minutes, but it was a pretty chill fight. Also, I got some Scadutree fragments from it. Moving forward, I picked up a pretty useless talisman. Pretty much just picked this up for no reason. And now it's time to do a bit of side quest stuff. So it's time to speak with Ansbach here. Freya's here as well, but I'm going to ignore her. Doing that makes things easier later. And after trying to get the grace right before a boss, I get absolutely dunked on. I didn't even try to save and quit. I deserved this death. And next time around, I just open the door and easily get the grace inside. Now it's time to go down the stairs right here and get the Ancient Rite Scroll. Then give it to the old blood dude. Don't worry, Freya, your inability to read saved your life later. Now it's time to trigger Leda to hunt down her companions. And first off, it's Hornscent, who suffered an unfortunate death, being unable to gain his revenge.
short then. Ah, mother, wife, and child.
Pretty sad. Now it's time to make her hunt Anne's back now. But this time I'm not helping her, I'm betraying her. It was a pretty easy fight, especially with Trickshot Ansbach here. Damn, just look at him go. She has a lot of health, but with the power of arrows and Roundrock, she's defeated.
Perhaps I should have known.
And after that ordeal, I get the shotgun bow, along with Letta's rune. With that all done, it's now time to do Fiolier's quest. And I gotta tell him where St. Trina is. And after ingesting the nectar like 4 times, she finally speaks to me, which I try to relay this message. But of course he has a hissy fit because it's not him that got the message. And after he goes down, I continue to sleep myself to death. Ah, the eternal slumber. Good thing we're the main character of this game. And now I finally tell him the message and I'm done here.
Are a wretched, wretched soul.
Great, now let me increase my blessings a little bit more. And now it's time to fight Messmer.
That tarnished.
Oh boy. I'll tell you this right now, I did not have a fun time here. Grabs that can pretty much just insta-kill you, no matter how much health you have. Hell, I'm pretty sure I'll die even with armor. Getting turned into burnt Swiss cheese. And also dealing with the Mega Poke. It took a good bit of time to get used to that one. Fighting Messmer pretty much butt naked was very unforgiving. I also got grabbed a few too many times. I died so many times that I got to the point that I went to go pick up the Flame Drake talisman to help me out a little bit. It did help out, but not as much as I wanted it to. Hey, at least I can survive the grab attacks sometimes though now. It was just mostly the first phase that's giving me problems. The second phase was surprisingly a lot easier to deal with, even though I still continued to die.
This creature
So in the fight against Messmer, I found out that his hitbox extends to his snake that's floating above him. It makes it easier to hit him at a distance, but unfortunately for me, that's not very often when that occurs. Most of the opportunities I use to attack were whenever he'd throw his spear at me, or whenever he tries to wombo combo me. As long as I dodge those attacks, I have a good opportunity to throw a Roundrock at him. His dive attack is punishable, but I have to be the perfect distance away. Also a quick note, his dive bomb gave me a good opportunity to do some damage. Now it's time for the second phase where he goes all Orochimaru on me. This fight takes quite a change in the second phase. He uses his usual attacks, but now there's a giant fuck off snake to deal with. When everything's going to hell, when in doubt, calmly panic roll. In all seriousness, I thought I was going to die here. His phase is a bit difficult to keep up with because of how the camera just goes everywhere during the fight. At this point I had no more flasks and he really wanted to end me. And about 8 minutes and 40 seconds he goes down. But finally, after 35 attempts, which is a whole damn lot, holy moly, it took me a while to learn how to fight him. But after all those deaths, victory and knowledge has been obtained, and that is invaluable. Great, next on the hit list is someone filled with madness. So it's time to go into the Darklight Catacombs. But before that, I need a torch, which was a very easy buy, because this place is very dark and unforgiving. And even after turning on all the lights, there is still no logic to this place. And after finally making it to the end of this place, it's time to fight an Inquisitor. Not just any Inquisitor, but an elderly Inquisitor that loves to spam attacks. Also the minions he spawns love to gang up on you. This guy just loves to teleport around and spawn minions. Good thing the minions can be one-shotted though, but I am very low on resources currently. Messmer really took a huge chunk out of the rocks that I collected. And here I am taking a chance, hopefully trying to win with what I have left. Also, I ended up using Endure a lot in this fight, because I really need to guarantee those hits and I cannot get knocked off the animation. If I do, it's a huge waste of time, effort, and health, which unfortunately I lack right now. And after using the very last of my rocks, the boss goes down and I now have access to the Abyssal Woods. Damn, that was a very close call. And now that I'm here in the Abyssal Woods, I have no horse because Torrent is a scaredy cat. I understand why he's not here lore-wise, but damn, it's a chore to run around here. I had to head to one side in order to get a Scadutree fragment, aka right next to where the map is located. And now, in the run to the other side, I gotta deal with these Madness Winter Lantern things. Which, as long as you're on uneven ground, he can't really grab you. I was able to escape them enough until I reached the Grace, so I do not mind dying here. Now it's time to head over to Midra's Manse. It looks so imposing while you're outside. Once we're inside, the ghost tells us that we should leave, and I'm gonna do exactly that, because I need a refill on rocks in order to throw at the master of the house. After spending another good chunk of time just collecting rocks, I now sneak my way through the mansion. Or the manse, as this place is called. I pull some levers here and not follow the examples of all these bloodstains. It's always better to be safe than sorry, guys. And once I have the Grace before the boss, I get set ablaze, forcing me out of the Grace. It's pretty rude. Now it's time to bully the master of the house a little bit, before I'm the one that's gonna get bullied, because it's now time to deal with a Lord of the Frenzy Flame. The first attempt was very close. Unfortunately for me, this rock pot does not have the homing capabilities of the Roundrock, and this mistake led to my unfortunate death. In the other attempts, I just got deleted, and then got styled on. To start the fight, I get close to him to do some easy close range damage. And now it's time to switch to long range attacks. Alright, so Midra's fight was not that difficult. And that's because playing the range game made this battle pretty easy. All I had to do was wait for one attack. And it's an attack that he does pretty often. And that attack would be his get close attack. He does this in order to get close to me, but that leaves him very vulnerable against a ranged Roundrock throw. His spin to win is also punishable, but he rarely does it. His stab is also punishable, but he rarely does that as well. And now here in phase 2, if he misses his nuke attack, I can respond to that. While this fight was looking pretty easy right now, I really had to be on point with the dodging. Because if not, I get hit by madness, which no one likes. And he'll try to combo you to death. And after 11 minutes and 8 seconds, the Lord of the Frenzy Flame goes down. That took a lot longer than it needed to. And I also died 4 times against them. And now with all that done, it's now time to try to finish the DLC. And that means I have to go through the ancient ruins of Raoul. Hopefully that's the correct pronunciation. As long as I had Torrent, traversing this place was pretty easy. I can just ignore most of the enemies here. As long as I don't bother them, they don't bother me. All but except the Kindred of Rot, because this is where I'm required to go, and they're in the way. Luckily though, I can just take the elevator right here, and that just leads me up and right before the boss gates. And once I'm in the Grace, I level up a little bit. And now it's time to fight Romina, the Saint of the Bud. It took me a little bit to get used to her patterns. Also, getting rotted by her isn't a fun experience. And also I gotta watch out with the centipede part of her, as its hitboxes are a tad bit unforgiving. And that pretty much just led me to my death. At the very start of the fight, I always attempt to throw a rock at her face. And afterwards, it's kind of like how I fought the Putrescent Knight. I just dodge 2 of her attacks and then I can safely throw a rock at her. Aside from having to do some very last minute dodging, such as dealing with the scorpion tail and the centipede strikes. This first phase was going pretty well. In the second phase, she now has rot butterflies everywhere. But that doesn't really change the fight very much, as you just have to stay clear of them. And whenever you're far away enough and she tries to dive at you with her blade, you can pretty much just ignore the first 2 attacks, but be ready just in case to dodge the third one. Also in this phase, she has a stinger attack, which I have to be extra careful in making sure I dodge it, because that's just an instant rot. And after all those things, the fight really hasn't changed much. Eventually, after 5 minutes and 16 seconds, she goes down. Only ended up dying 5 times against her. And now with Romina's defeat, it's time to set a tree on fire. All in order to access the final area of the DLC. But before that, Romina reminded me I still have one thing left to do in Legacy Elden Ring. And that be Malenia. So it's time to head over to Castle Sol and get the Grace over here. Then quickly head over to the beginning of the DLC in order to stone a furnace golem to death. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the crystal tear that he has. Surprisingly though, it was actually a pretty quick thing to do. Once he goes down, the amount of damage I do to the head is actually pretty insane. It's a shame, I could have ended it right here if I was quick enough. But whatever. Eventually, after enough Roundrocks, he goes down, and I get the deflecting heart tier. With this, if I defend at the right time, I get no damage from it. It's pretty much the Sekiro defending the flex system. Now it's time to fight Commander Nile and his 2 lovers. Who needs years of experience as a knight, as I can just throw rocks at my problems. And now for Nile himself, I pretty much just let him do his jump attack. And after dodging that and the follow-up, I do some easy damage. But that's as long as I'm far away enough. And after he gets all butthurt about it, he charges right in. And then I just defend against it with my bare fists. Here's some rocks for your troubles, Nile. Right, now it's time to repeat the process, which I found out that I can actually throw 2 Roundrocks at him before he starts his next attack. And after catching him at takeoff, he goes down. This fight lasts about 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Oh yeah, feeling pretty powerful right now. I have one half of the Halictree medallion, then I get the other half from Old Man Albus here. With that, I go up the elevator, which gives me access to the consecrated snowfield. I get a golden seed that was along the way, then conquer the liturgical town. Who needs archery when I can just throw a rock at the enemy? And after activating all the candles, I then reached the Halic tree, where I level up my strength. I know I reached a hard cap on it, but I'm still gonna do it. Then I continue by making my way down the tree. Pretty dangerous thing I just did right there. Get the shortcut as always, can never forget that. Then fight against Loretta, where I died in my first attempt because of an improper dodge. This time around she was very spammy with her magic. But I didn't really care much as the Roundrocks were doing some very good damage against her. My caveman brain right now is not caring about the magic going all around me. My only instinct right now is just to throw a rock at my problems. And after about 1 minute and 42 seconds, Loretta goes down. Now it's time to continue making my way down the Halic tree. I love that explodey guy, but I do hate the rot that's in this place though. And I especially hate the absolute spam that is the Kindred of Rot Tomb. As always, those things are fast and homes too aggressively. But now going down the elevator, it is now time to face off against Malenia. And this makes the Roundrock's small heat-seeking capabilities absolutely shine. If you throw it directly at her, she just dodges the rock. But then if you look to the side and throw a rock at that direction, then at a specific moment lock onto her, the rock heat seeks and she does not try to dodge it at all. As long as you don't face her while throwing a projectile, she does not dodge it. Reminds me a lot of the one-eyed shield run I did. And as the fight continued going, I found out I can just abandon having to need to time my rock throws by just looking away from her, and as I'm inside of the animation, just instantly lock onto her, and the rock just does the rest by magnetizing towards her. This rock is truly blessed by Miyazaki himself. Gotta be careful because rock throwing is still pretty slow, and against Malenia, one mistake can just end the attempt. And now against Malenia's second phase, it's pretty much just rock throws for days. It was pretty fun to find out that I was able to punish most of her attacks. If she's in the air and tries to dive at me, punish. She attempts to waterfowl dance me, that's punishable. Shadow Clone Jutsu and a forward dive, punish. And her Scarlet Aeonia was especially punishable. All that free time to throw 3 Roundrocks at her. I pretty much just Roundrocked her entire world. This fight lasted about 15 minutes, but it was a pretty easy fight. There are a few mistakes here and there, but I did it all in my first attempt. Now nothing could possibly go wrong as I reached the end of the DLC. Now heading back to the DLC, I level up, then start running right through all the enemies. It's easier said than done because of holy moly the amount of spam. It's raining, there's an entire light show on the ground, some random dude at the top of the stairs is trying to hit me with golden arcs, and I was being chased by a maniac. After that there's a whole bunch of rings that the birds can shoot out. This frosty guy that nearly got me cornered. And this wind guy who tried to imitate the soul of Cinder for a bit. And after all that, it's time for the boss fight against Leda. And it's a completely pure NPC boss fight. And since I did not interact with Big Shield Dude, and also left Freya as she was trying to reach literature, they will not be participating in this fight. And because of all that, all it is now is a 3v2. Me and my 2 allies against Dryleaf Dane and Leda. Everyone's health in this fight is so beefed up, it's insane. Also, they both hit very hard. But once one of them goes down, it's pretty much just a slaughter against the other one. Well, that was fun. Damn, look at all the blood everywhere. But with that all done, it's now time for the unfun part. And I'm not bringing help for this one. Because now it's the unfortunate time to fight DLC Radahn. The lame-o Radahn that doesn't have his horse Leonard. And also the one that can induce seizures in the second phase. Now this fight is absolutely brutal. First phase wasn't much of a problem except for his nearly unavoidable swipe. I'm pretty sure everyone hates this attack. And the biggest problem I had was his second phase. I ran out of rocks during my attempts and had to go get some more. And this pain train attack butchered me a little too often. It took a very good while until I got used to this attack. Too many shadow clones and holy spam everywhere. And I hate that pretty much just one mistake is a GG. After dying enough times, I went to finally upgrade my Crimson tier again. The entire time during the DLC, I was rocking a plus 11 flask with a quantity of 12. And with those upgrades I've obtained, I'm now a plus 12 with a quantity of 13. I didn't want to try to go and find another 5 golden seeds, so I just left it at that. I don't think it would have made much of a difference as I just get deleted from full health. Great, I have no more rocks again. Around 350 Roundrocks down the drain. I didn't want to go farm again, so I just decided to spawn another 999 of them. But boy, let me tell you, that was not enough. I kept dying to the point that I went to the Shaman village in order to get the best holy defense talisman in the game. That only helped a little bit though. My main problem is how shit I am at dodging. I did so many attempts that I went all the way back down to 23. In my frustration, I accidentally spawned in the wrong item, and I accidentally spawned in 2,000 of said thing. What I really wanted to spawn was just more rocks. At the time, I really hoped this was enough. And after a few more unfortunate deaths, I finally did it. There's a huge difference between Radahn's first and second phase. In this first phase, there's only a few attacks I can actually punish. And that's when I'm far away enough when he does his little double slash attack. Even then it's dangerous to do it. Another time is when he does his gravity pull, which after dodging it, I can throw a Roundrock at him. But there is a chance for him to instantly fall over with another gravity pull, which can very easily lead to my death. It's always a risky thing trying to punish that. And next up is his Slam AoE. This attack allows me to get close to deal some good damage at him. But of course, you gotta be careful about the follow-up. Yeah, those are pretty much the only attacks I can punish. But even then, still there's a chance that he might do something foul and hit me. And now here at the phase transition, I swap to the hefty rock pot and focus on using that for a bit. Time to let the companion jar talisman shine. With Miquella's light now in the picture, all his attacks are uber dangerous. If I successfully dodge his nuke, I can punish him. But attempting it a second time is a very risky thing to do. At this point, I learned how to dodge his more brutal attacks, which were the ones that were pretty much just instantly killing me. His slam attack is still punishable, but still pretty dangerous. The grab is actually punishable as well, but you have to be far away enough in order to properly do that. Now it's time to just continue on dodging and hopefully not to get hit by his more bullshit attack. And unfortunately for me, his gravity pull is no longer safe to attack right after. When it comes to the flying rocks, it's best to get close to him Then immediately run as far away as you can after dodging. And after avoiding said rocks, I had to continue to run. Then perfectly time the dodges in order to attack. And when he tries his Holy Pain Train rush, I found it best to just stay close to him in order to dodge all the damage. It also gave me a good time to swap my talisman from the companion jar to the golden braid. And now it's pretty much just rinse and repeat until I win. And I really did not like the close calls I had in this attempt. The only reason why I'm alive after all of that is because of a calm mind, luck, and that golden braid. Also, that attack is very risky to punish with the Roundrock. And once I brought him down to enough health, he decides to nuke the entire area. And my answer to that was just to completely run away. Just do not stop sprinting. At this point, I ran out of flasks and now I'm all on my own. This is also when I realized that it's now better than never to lock in. And now I'm just gonna let the rest of the fight speak for itself. Great. Fighting Radahn, I died around 69 times. Hey! No, but in reality, I died like around 75 times. I unfortunately lost some death clips during all of this. So yeah, around 75 times against Radahn. It took around 8 hours to beat him. That's quite a long time, but hey, at least I did it. It really wasn't even that rage-inducing for me either. I've been through a lot worse than Armored Core 6. I guess that's why I don't feel anger from this. And now that the DLC is done, it's time to finish off the game. Cool looking crown, Miquella. I'll be keeping this. After all of that, it feels like I already beat the game, but there's still things to do. Now that I'm back in normal Elden Ring, I think I want to do one more thing before I challenge the final bosses. But to get what I want, I need to beat the Mimic. And once my doppelganger is defeated, it's time to have fun with the Mimic Tier Ash. I know I don't need Mimic Tier's help, but I would like to have a bit of fun after the whole Radahn fight. It was also very easy to get the upgrade materials for it. All I need are Glow's glove wards for it, and the bells are right for the taking. Enough you can stop Gigachad and his rocks. Now it's time for the final steps of the game, but first we gotta beat Godfrey. Whoops a daisy, I completely forgot to buy the spirit calling bell for the Ash. I ended up dying once here as well because of recklessness, and I thought I was invincible for some reason. Seems like beating Radahn inflated my ego a little too much. How foolish of me. For the fight against Godfrey, Metyr took most of the aggro, and in doing so gave me a lot of opportunities to throw Roundrocks at him. And even if he decided to attack me, I would just tank his attacks with Endure. Nothing is gonna stop me from ending this game. Eventually Godfrey had enough of my Mimic's antics and took him out the most disrespectful way possible. Doesn't really matter much to me because Godfrey is pretty much almost gone. And after about 2 minutes and 50 seconds, Godfrey is no more. And now after making sure my inventory is nice and good for the fight, it's now time to face off against Radagon. For Radagon right here, Roundrock does a pretty good amount of damage. Even if I didn't have Mimic here, who was being an absolute nuisance against the boss. Just look at him punching his ass. Running Radagon would not have given me much of a problem. I'm honestly surprised that Mimic even survived this fight. And now with Radagon defeated, it's time to fight the Elden Beast. The Elden Beast's weakness is physical damage. And because everything that I throw at my enemies does physical damage, this pretty much was a very easy fight. It also really helps that we now have torrents in this fight. Avoiding the Elden Stars have pretty much been trivialized because of this. And actually catching up with the Elden Beast has never been easier. There really wasn't much reason to talk about this fight because it was very straightforward. And after all of that, the fight against Radagon and the Elden Beast took about 7 minutes and 15 seconds. And now that finally all of that is now over, it's time to actually finish the game. Who knew that all I needed to do to become Elden Lord was to throw a bunch of rocks? Truly magnificent. Anyways, with the basic ending achieved, I have beaten Elden Ring and its DLC with Roundrocks. It was a pretty simple challenge run. Well, simple for Legacy Elden Ring. The difficult part of the run actually started when I had reached the DLC. Everything hits like a truck, and even with the blessings, all of it was pretty hard. I did have very much fun though. The only part I really didn't like about this was pretty much the farming that I had to do, and also DLC Radahn. Honestly, most of the problem was caused by me not knowing how to dodge attacks. But after roughly learning what to and not to do, the fight was much more manageable. The only real thing I had a problem with was his damn double swipe attack. But other than that, in the end, it all went great. I did have a little bit of trouble with Messmer, but at least that fight didn't really flashbang my eyes. Well, now it's time to end the video, but before I do that, I would like to point out that I was live streaming, but then life got a little too busy. Unfortunately, it's gonna continue being busy, and it's unfortunately gonna continue to be so, but I will still continue to upload videos. This video is much more of a spur of the moment, because there's 2 other challenge runs that need to be uploaded, but those are probably going to come out at a later date. But anyways, thank you everyone for watching and getting this far in the video. And also thank you to the people that have been watching my live stream when I was live streaming. And now for the outro. This has been War Knight Gamer 4, and make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell notification for alerts when I post a new video. Also, thank you for watching this video and my previous videos if you have as well. Ciao!